Okay, I flipped out the welder for a second here. Just finished dinner and I'm coming out here and we're doing the first step. I've already finished the other rudder as far as filling in all the rosette welds. And that's just basically topping them off and bringing just a slight bit of crown so I know that when I finish them off with one of the flat discs there that we're going to be blending this surface all in. I want this surface to be smooth, meaning no weld beads. In fact, actually all the welding on the edges and corners and everything else, I'm going to be filling and sanding for a smooth surface. I don't want any weld beads itself, except for the very bottom in here of the zinc pocket. It's got a real small fusion weld, and it's not. I'm not going to worry about getting in there and getting that polished up. But I pretty much want all of this smooth out here, so it doesn't have any little nooks and crannies for growth and everything else to build up on. So I want them faired out pretty clean. We're going to this much extent to create this shape and type of rudder. I just want to give them the best surface on the outside. I'm not going to polish them, you know, like chrome polish, but they will have a nice smooth sand finish to them. After we get done welding, we're going to passivate them, and that's just basically using a citric acid that I've found. The owners helped me with some of the technicalities and everything else in that procedure, so I've heard of it, and I've been involved in yards that, you know, send things out and get it done, and there's places to send stuff out. But this will be the first time that I've actually gone through the process and doing it myself, and being able to share that experience with you as well. And what that does is it basically strips it of any iron, carbons, any rust type debris on the surface, and lets the stainless grab new atmosphere, which automatically sets the quality of resistance on the surface of it. And until the thing is scratched with steel, splattered with steel, or impregnated by rubbing with a steel wire brush or things like that, will cause rust to embed back into the surface, and then from that point it will just continue eating through there. So that's just the basics on it. So I'm going to flip on the welder and we're going to get going here, and I'm just putting in the rosettes here. Tomorrow I'm going to go ahead and set up a purge line, and we're going to be feeding a purging mixture of argon inside while I do the seam welding around the outside here, just because we want to have the best quality of this weld bead on the inside. Your weld on the inside, if you penetrate through, if there's a purge gas or the same gas that you're using on the inside as it is on the outside of the weld, it lays in there real smooth. And that's what the purging, that's the simplicity of it. Okay, I'm not going to get in all the technical terms, and I'm not going to try to give you really close in shots and everything else. Jody at weldingtipsandtrick.com it does excellent weld shots, and he's also a great place to learn to weld in all the phases that you see me do, and probably even some more things that maybe I don't do. Alright, well, enough chit chat. Let's get going. It's not going to get done sitting here. just staggering, and I'm welding on one side, welding on the other side. Alright, we kind of shifted things around. We put away stuff that we didn't need out here, and things that we are going to need, we kind of got them laid out. We got our rod in two different sizes, 1/16 and 332. We're pretty well all set with the TIG. We've got our acetone. This first thing we're going to do is we're going to wash this thing down on the outside, making sure that just the hand oils and all of that are off, just like our other steps of tacking this on and everything else. We wipe the frame, we wipe the inside of the cover, we wipe everything down that we were touching, and we tack this thing together. And now we're going to just do one more motion here before we actually start welding. An additional thing that we're going to do, and I put a fitting in here, a bar fitting, and I have purged gas. And I'm going to be slipping this on, this fitting on the end here, so that when we spin this thing around and everything is, it'll handle fine out here, and I can get around it. On the other plug here, I went ahead and I put another barb fitting, and I just put a piece of rag over here with some tape. I can still blow through it, but it's slightly restricted. I just want to make sure that we're forcing the gases all around the whole inside of the wing shape itself. And the rudder housing and those baffles on the inside will really be steering it all around, and I'm hoping it'll stay uniform. We're doing this so that the inside of the weld will lay smooth and it won't have any rough or raised areas in it. Alright, so anyway, I'm going to wipe this down, and then I'm going to take you around to show you my gauge setup and my bottles that I have in the back. I don't think I've ever shown you guys. I mean, in my earlier videos you saw them sitting out here in front of the brake when the brake was here before I had the plasma table and all that. But now I moved them in the back there, and I got them chained up so they're harnessed right, and I'll show you my bottle arrangement anyway. All right, so let me get this wiped down, and then we'll get rocking and rolling. This is going to be like a production day today. It's that's what's sitting down and just making as best weld as you can. It's monotonous. It's enjoyable, basically. I mean, you're not physically doing too much. It might be mental. I'm a better fitter than I am a welder by far. I'm not afraid to admit that. And sometimes my welds come out pretty good looking anyway because I did such a nice job fitting. And I think you should do work where you're not hesitant about bragging about it. It's going to speak for itself. You're going to walk the talk. You know, that's kind of just a personal preference. All right, and we're going to give this a couple minutes to dry. And we're going to take some air, we're going to blow it off just so any of this lint or whatever kind of gets freed up from the little snags. I took my file and I kind of went around and I felt that I got rid of a lot of them. I knew we were going to have some, but I did a little practicing on this other side here with just some of my flapper wheels and kind of planning out how I'm going to finish these off nice and smooth. So, and I think it's going to be a combination of a couple different grits. So I've got 3 different grits to play with and a couple of ideas in mind. And so far, just the ones I've touched, maybe that just maybe I'm allergic to acetone. All right. All right, we moved that way far away from our welding area, and we always do. We use it, we let it evaporate, and make sure that anything major combustible. Hey, it could have been, I stirred up dust. I tried to clean up this place there this morning. I had some grindings and everything else all over the place. All right, let's go in and take a look at my bottle assembly before we start up the welder and start making some noise here. Okay, first I want to show you that I used chain and I got a nice mount. It's mounted back there. It's all screwed hard lagged into the studs. And anyhow, it's quick chains that I can put around, and the bottles are secure. They're not going to fall over. It's I do say that's one important rule in welding and having bottles and the proper securing of those. I'm not a safety Nazi, but it's just one of those things. Just like a lot of us have seen videos where, and if you've ever seen a valve knocked off and the cylinder becoming a missile, is very, you know, and then that, you think that's the worst. Okay, when that missile hits something, sometimes that creates the worst scenario. This is my helium bottle, and I mix this in this valve here, and then this is just an directional valve, and I put it in on the helium side so that I don't flow. Usually I'm running a little higher argon, and I just want to make sure that I don't flow it backwards at all. And when I am aluminum welding, I go ahead and I'll crack this, and I'll mix my helium with my argon. This is my standard argon feed for the synchrowave, and feeds out my TIG torch. This side over here, I went ahead and I dropped a line off of here, and this is the one that I can use for purge gas, and then I can control the amount of flow in that purge. Okay, now I've already turned this on, and I got about 1,000 pounds in there, so I may actually be undoing this and making a run into exchange this gas here today, because I may actually use more than 1,000 pounds to do these 2 rudders. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that today. Alright, so I'm going to fire up the machine, and I'm going to set up what I want in this gauge here for CFM to come out of the torch. And then I'm going to barely crack this, and I'm going to crack that to where I feel that I'm going to pull out the plug, and I'm going to make sure that I'm getting a positive flow in there, even with the amount of cracks that are going on. And then as I'm welding, I'm going to be making sure that I am getting adequate coverage on the inside of that rudder. So So that's basically how I'm going to be creating a mix. I'm going to fire up the welder here, and okay, you can see the ball there. We can control what we want for the torch, and then this is the free flow here, and that's going inside the rudder itself right now. Alright, so I'm going to go check out the pressure on the rudder itself and make sure that I got a positive flow coming out of it, out of the end. I want to make sure it's getting all the way through there, because you got all complete open welds right now. Some of it's fit real tight, some of it's gapped about a 32nd of an inch. So most of it is pretty well touching, but it's not 100% sealed, and I want to make sure that we're carrying enough gas to be a positive flow throughout the whole rudder. And it doesn't hurt to run a little bit more to start with, because you want to purge out all the impure atmosphere that's in there right now from just static atmosphere, I would call it. Alright, so let's go see what we got. Okay, we cranked it up pretty high to where we actually could start feeling that out of here. There still is quite a few openings around here to where the escaping is you know, quite a bit. So anyway, I'm going to put the plug in here, and we're going to run it probably about 10 CFM for right now. I think it's going to be enough to make sure that it's filled, and it'll be on a constant escaping, and the more we'll close this off, the tighter and the faster, or I should say, the more positive the direct straight through flow will be noticeable here at the vent. And if I had another flow gauge, I could actually put that right on here. We're going to be rotating this around, so it's not always going to be standing upright, so it'd be kind of a hard one to put through, unless it was on another hose and then was over at a stationary point where the flexing around could be more. We're not going to get real scientific on it. We just want to make sure that we do have some gas protection on the inside of this rudder to give us the best possible chance for this job. Alright, I'm ready to start this monotonous task of welding this rudder up, and I'm just going to be going at it and rotating it around and spreading the heat as even as I can, and kind of staying equal side to side. So far everything does look, it stayed nice and true so far. I was very surprised that I was actually able to cut out 4 skins that were so close. I just had a little minor adjustment down in this area right here, and it was a little bit of contracting on the way that the welding was in, done on that inner support there. And other than that, pretty well fell right into place, and I'm pretty happy with it. Alright, and I think we're going to be finding a comfortable spot for foot pedal and that, and I might actually just be leaving it up here to where shouldn't have took this off Mom's sewing machine. Alright. I think we wanted to play with this leading edge a little bit here first. Now when I weld this, I'm going to be backstepping my welds, meaning I'll weld a section and I'm going to come in front of that, and then I'm going to weld to that. It's a structural way in doing plate, seams, decking, stuff like that. Yeah, on weldingtipsandtrick.com, Jody explains a little bit more about your distortion and how and what plate, and actually I think he just did one on how plate moves here this last week. And as you're welding and the amount of distortion that goes, this is all 1/8 or 11 gauge skin. The center vertical webs are all 1/8. The tops and the flat ribs in the center are 3/16 of an inch thick, and then the bands that I welded to those are 1/8 also. You have to do an enormous amount of tacking to keep things where you want them, and you can learn by your mistakes, and I make mistakes as well. This was about a 5-minute mistake that cost, oh, I don't know, not too much, maybe a couple hours to get back to the spot. I had tacked these, slipped it off, and then thought I could just set this up and weld these 6 points here, and then have no problem and be able to slide this back on. Just that amount of welding without any support and without having this tacked into where it needs to be tacked in, this thing works all to heck. And it was my mistake, and they do happen. Can't beat yourself up on them. You're gonna be the time you spend beating yourself up on it cuts down on the time of getting back on track. And so anyway, we did get back on track, and things are going pretty good. All right, enough of me flapping my jaw here. Let's get going. This is the kind of job that I probably will be using my tape finger. Or one of them. I almost wish they came with suspenders because I'm not a fatty yet, and so if that would come up and have some kind of leash on my finger, unless I can stick 2 fingers in there at once. She's not that big. All right. sanded down around this edge right here, all the way around. And probably just a little bit more right in here. I just wanted to have a nice roundy round there, and this is the last weld, and of course this is where I join the Aquaman material to the 3/16 stainless, and I have to got a sticky foot pedal here, and I'm just having to put up with it, I guess. And it may actually be better to go ahead and bring it around on this side. Okay, now we run our pedal for our feed with our left foot, and I run the TIG torch with my right foot, and we can hang this lead up here. I've been finding another use for my Bessie clamps, and they make moldable hanging real easy, where I can go ahead and run my TIG torch right up here. And a little bit more angle here. All right, I think we're ready to go. Losing my pedal there. pretty happy with that. Yes, I am. Okay, we're going to get our other one up and pump it out the same way. Then they're going to cool down a little bit, and I'm going to do the sanding all around them, find out where any low spots are at, because I like to have this nice little radius all the way around. This has got a fair end, the leading edge, trailing edge will fair in, and we're good to go. We got, we're working a 40 grit pad here first. And what I'm doing is I just want to take down the high spots and all the basic shape. And then I'm going to come back and we're going to drop it down to a fine grit. And then we're going to get a nice rolling surface like we did around the top edge here before we put this last weld bead around the top there. All right, and we got everything kind of cleared out. This is going to bother me. Alright, and we got our foot pedal. There we go. I think I like it down on the floor. Alright, and we're going to kick on some ventilation here. And go to it. I'm going to roll this over to you. Alright, and I'm just coming off of this, trying to take that rough shape on out of there. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. We're going to kind of work this. We're going to see any of these little high, or any of these really low spots that might be in the problem. We'll go ahead and we'll fill those in. was a pretty busy day running around. I got the oil to fill these, the plugs will be coming in tomorrow. Everything should be wrapped up tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a big day. We're going to be doing the passivation. We're going to be doing a hydro pressure test, and then we're going to be filling them up with oil. And then they're going to be ready to go down and be put in a boat. Probably late tomorrow, the earliest, and probably early Friday morning. So we've done the sanding. The other one's almost to final stage, and now I'm coming in and bringing this one up to the same as the other one, and that's going ahead, and all I'm doing now is I'm just filling in the low areas where the trailing edge fares off, and the leading edge has got a few little spots in it. The leading edge was easier than this trailing edge because of how this lap comes in. It's still got to create that oil tip that the customer wanted in the design. So that's what we're working on late tonight, and we'll go with this until we're done tonight, and then we'll be pretty much ready for tomorrow morning. Pretty much like the other one there, it's going to be two passes. One on this side of the weld right on the edge here, and then one filling in at the trailing edge out there. And then it'll sand just about perfect.